Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the April Town Commission meeting, Town of Ocean Ridge. Tracy, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ascove,
Present.
Commissioner Bonfiglio,
Here.
Commissioner Cos,
Here.
Commissioner Lucibella,
Here.
Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, let's pledge allegiance, please. Right here.
Where's the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. And now we'll announce the election results and swear in a new town commissioner. Tracy, all yours.
The official election results for the March 15, 2016 municipal election were received on Wednesday, March 23, 2016. The results are as follows. Total number of registered voters is 1,489. Total ballots cast was 830. Total undervotes 26 for a turnout of 55.74%. And the results, Lynn Allison received 359 votes, which is 44.65% of the total votes cast. Stephen Cos received 445 votes, which is 55.35% of the total votes cast. The results were certified on March 21st, 2016 by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections for the Town of Ocean Ridge municipal election.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the swearing in. Steve, you want to?
You take better pictures than you choose.
Chief, he has a bigger camera than you do.
He does.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Stephen Cos,
I, Stephen Cos,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida
and of the state of Florida
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
domestic or foreign,
domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and I will bear true faith,
loyalty, and allegiance
loyalty, and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and that I am entitled to hold office
and that I am entitled to hold office
of the state of Florida,
of the state of Florida,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of Town Commissioner
of Town Commissioner
of the Town of Ocean Ridge,
of the Town of Ocean Ridge,
on which I am about to enter,
on which I'm about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right. All right, you see the agenda before you. Are there any modifications or deletions or additions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to,
Move to approve the agenda and the minutes from the last meeting.
there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Moving on, announcements and proclamations. A proclamation declaring week of April 10th through the 16th as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Wow. Do we have any of the telecommunicators in the audience today?
Unfortunately, I sent them all.
Well, that's good, Chief.
So,
All right.
I'm more than happy to pass on.
Well, yeah, maybe pass on that they would appreciate their week this week. All right, right now we'll entertain public comment. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jerry Magruder, and I live at 9 Ridge Boulevard, Ocean Ridge, Florida. I particularly want you to remember my address, 9 Ridge Boulevard in Ocean Ridge, Florida, because I live on the north side of Ridge Boulevard. Last week, there was tremendous lightning in Ocean Ridge. On Tuesday, there were even alerts. The transmitter behind my house was hit by lightning and exploded. It sounded like a 747 landing in my home. As a result of that, all the homes on the south side of Ridge Boulevard had some or to tremendous damage to their homes. I had, because I had a commercial surge protector on my meter, I only had low voltage damage to my home, meaning that I had only all my security system went, my sound system went, my lights, outside lighting went, my low voltage lighting. Anything that was low voltage went in my house. Other than that, I was safe. The house at the very end of Ridge Boulevard, towards the intercoastal, they lost everything electrical, including the wiring in their home. I do not know what Mr. Buck, did you lose anything, Jim? Have you checked your house at all?
Yeah, my standby generator was burned out, and my pool pump was burned out, and my, some interior things, but it was mostly surge protectors and the surge protectors and the circuit breakers,
Yeah.
which
Well-
is, that's what they're designed to do.
That's what they're designed to do, but there was a tremendous amount of damage. Precluding the damage, because that couldn't have been helped from the transmitter being exploded, I worked with the FP&L people from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock at night. This is one thing that the general manager for the exploding of transmitters told me. He said, "Why is this not buried underground? I have plans where this was to be buried underground when this detention pond was being built." I said, "I don't know." He said, "We will not take our truck back there." Now, I want to let you know that Ridge Boulevard is wide enough for any truck in the world, because the truck they brought there that night was bigger than a Sherman tank, taller than, I think, the Empire State Building. It was huge, the biggest truck I ever saw in my life, wider than anything I ever saw in my life. I never saw a truck like that before in my entire life. And they could not get to the transmitter. They could not reach it through our yards, and they would have refused. And they said, "This is the only truck we bring for transmission." They refused to take it back there. And he said, "We can wreck anything we want to get back there. We can knock down any tree we want to knock down." And he said, "We will not take it back there. We will not take, I have to be liable for this truck." And he said, "I'm not going to be liable for that detention pond." He would not take it back there. They ended up, took him 8 hours to hoist a transmitter back up there and get us back into power again. And it was a job. I watched them do it. And he said, "This is supposed to be buried underground. I don't know why your town didn't do it." He said, if you have a catastrophe in this town, I can guarantee you these 5 neighbors will not have power for a year.
All right, so you want us to look into that?
I would like
the
you to look into
transformer?
that. Now, next, if you look at that detention pond, it looks like an unloved grandchild,
A what?
an unloved stepchild.
Okay.
All the fencing is destroyed and deteriorated in several places. There is garbage all over the place, inside and around it. There's weeds and they are weeds everywhere. Where you need to have mulch, there's no mulch. It's missing. It's lacking. You see the black plastic coming up in some places. It needs care. Also, it has rained, and I have the notes. Now I have 2 great big things of notes of the build, because we were not a lawsuit. We were in talks, disputes with attorneys, and the guarantee was when it rains and it fills, 2 days drain. It's not drained. I have water up to the edge of my back. I would like it draining. I hear chitter chatter and chitter chatter and chitter chatter that this is going to be resolved. What's going to happen when we have a major catastrophe coming aboard? Are you going to shut down these pumps so that I don't get water all the way up to the edge of my driveway from the thing filling up to the back? And everybody else in town is going to be dry, but these 5 homes? So, and we're talking only 2 months away now, less than 2 months from hurricane season. The chitter chatter has to stop, and there has to be some guidelines. What's going to happen if we have a major catastrophe coming? Are the pumps going to be shut down? They better be, because you can't put 5 people in harm's way and everybody else be dry in town. With this detention pond not working properly, it does not drain. You know it. The 5 people that live there know it. The neighborhood knows it. And I think other people know it too. And something's got to get done. And it can't be behind door chatter anymore. It's got to be public chatter.
All right.
and conclusions before June 1, please.
Thank you.
Not,
Jamie.
not an, all right, yes, we will do something
We'll
about
look
it.
into every one of your issue, all three issues.
And have resolution.
Do the best we can. I know we'll have resolution on 2. On the other one, I have to go with the town engineer for that, and we'll have the town
No, I think we
engineer.
can need to get another engineer involved, because she didn't even understand about the rising waters coming within years. She denounced that. I even found it in the notes,
All
that
right.
that wasn't going to happen. And we all know that's happening.
Okay. All right, we'll look into it. Jamie, you got that?
Got all those notes, thank you.
Hold on a second. Dr. Weege.
Jim Wiggy, Sable Island Drive. Congratulations, Mr. Cos.
Thank you.
Just two quick issues. One is the very attractive wooden slat fence we have up on the curve on the barricade by the inlet. I'm not sure what that's for, but it certainly obstructs the beautiful view that you have of the ocean in the morning when you drive up to see the sunrise, and it certainly doesn't add any ambiance to the city, the town. I assume probably it's got to do with the people that cross over the barricade right there. But is there any way we can put a sign up on a sidewalk across there, telling them to go to the pedestrian crossing up by the lifeguard station?
Unfortunately, there is a sign that directs people to the public access portion of the county park, and they ignore it. And because of the overuse of that area, they've begun to deteriorate the dune. So the county has decided to place that fence up rather than allowing DOT to place the 6-foot chain link which used to exist.
Oh, wow. It's really a shame because it's such a pretty view when you come around the turn there coming up the hill. And it does nothing for the ambiance in this town, which is so beautiful. And there's nothing else they can do. How about tethering a pit bull or something there at the... Okay, well, I hope
I'm
that
in
we
talks
come
with
to
the
a
people
bet.
in the McCormick Mile Club, and they are in favor of your pit bull idea. So the people can-
I hope we can come up with a better resolution to that issue, and, because it just looks terrible. And I'm too short to see over that thing when I'm in the car, so. The other issue was, the Koi Pond Fund is now at its 0 mark with the malfunctionings in the circulatory system in the pond and the repairs and parts that have had to be bought. I'm about to write out a check for $684 for March's bill from the pond fellow, who's doing a great job, but I'm going to have to start a fundraising program to try to raise some more funds. And a number of the commissioners have been very, very generous in donating a lot of funds towards the fund to begin with. But I may have to put an ad in the Coastal Star. I would like to maybe put a picture and a picture or a frame of something up in the office here, because we're at a desperate point right now. And I've been donating my own funds to keep on top of this, but I will now have to start an ad campaign to try to raise some funds. So if any of you have any ideas and or whatever, I would be more than happy to listen to them.
Well, I have a bird idea. We should put it into the budget because it's part of the town hall. It's part of the town. It should be in the general budget and
If that's what you wish to
And
do,
we-
that's fine. It's
and have a
been
maintenance
fun.
guy come out here that comes out once a month. I think that's really what should be done. I mean, I really
Okay, well,
appreciate the
see,
efforts in the past.
Back
but-
in 2010, we didn't have the funds at that particular time. That's why I took this over. And it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. But there's a lot of work with this system, and the pump system is probably at the verge of totally having to be replaced anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I can get together with you all and we can figure out what to do then.
Can we add an item to the agenda that authorizes, a resolution that authorizes the town manager to reimburse Dr. Weege for sums no greater than $1,000 to maintain the koi pond until we can get it into the budget?
I appreciate that, Commissioner. I don't expect a refund, okay? But with this month's
Well-
billing,
Why don't we go ahead and next month, the next meeting,
Put it in,
Jamie brings it in the agenda, put on the agenda of what the cost's going to be for monthly maintenance on it. and at that point, discuss,
If I can transfer the account over to you as of the end of March, that would be cool. I
For the
can-
end of
I
April?
can fund the March billing, but that's the end of it.
All right, why don't, we can do it retroactively, but we can do
Right.
it to let's do it in the next meeting. Is that acceptable?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I think that the need for the pump should come out of the budget without a doubt, unless Dr. Wiggy is just exhausted from his hours of work on this and his fundraising. I thought that this was, having this funded voluntarily amongst the town, I thought was it's just a sign of solidarity of the town.
I've enjoyed it.
And if we can continue, other than for a major repair, such as the pump, we know that we need to replace the pump, we'll go out on the street for you, and we'll help you raise the money.
Unfortunately, like I mentioned one time, I only slipped and immersed myself in the pond one time, and I didn't have my cell
yeah,
phone on
see,
me.
the problem is that in all due respect, when Jim gets in the pond, a lot of times he's alone. And it is quite curvature, and there
Okay.
is algae, and
Okay.
there's a concern that,
Okay.
Jim's done a great
I-
job, but I
okay.
think that we should have a company come out and
Other
service it
than
once a
the
month.
past couple of weeks, that pond has been absolutely gorgeous.
And then the filter broke.
Yes.
So we had the
UV light failed.
UV light failed,
and
that's why it's so
because of
green
an
right
old
now.
pump, it took the guy a while to find the UV light. We had algae overgrowth. The cold weather always suppresses the plants, but it will come back.
Yep.
He got the light, and that's why this month's bill is rather high. So whatever we can do would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, ma'am.
Cheryl Olin, 566 David Lane. I want to address the flooding issue in the pond. First of all, Lisa Trepepi did a wonderful job because I would have been flooded out many times this year, and I just want to thank everybody that was involved because my house was worthless at one point, and now it's very livable, and I appreciate it. My understanding was it drained into the pond, and then there was supposed to be a pump that pumped it into the intracoastal. So perhaps that pump is not working.
No, it actually, when it does, goes in there, and when it gets to a certain point, it actually flows out into the intercoastal. There's not a pump there. There's
Gravity.
actually pumps that pump water from tropical into the drainage.
Yeah.
area.
Wasn't there a pump to even pump that water into
No,
the
ma'am.
It's
intracoastal?
passive.
There's a passive outflow there.
Oh, okay. All right, I was just, but all I know is I'm very grateful for all the flood situation because it has saved my house, I don't know how many times this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Anyone else besides Terry? It looks like you're last.
Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. You're being very flexible with the time, and you're giving a good orientation to the new commission and the new attorney who's still awake. And we need to congratulate the winner of our election. It wasn't a total surprise, but it was a good activity that occurred. But what I wanted to say about the results of local elections, that it may turn out to be much more significant, about what happened in the city of Boynton Beach. Completely new day over there. These folks are not backslapping, handshaking, hand-in-your-pocket politicians. The reason why that's important to us is because we have a financial relationship with them on so many areas. Water use is going to be coming due. The emergency service and fire service. It's not likely you're going to get a Barrier Island station. Everybody's kind of thinking that will happen. But if it happens, it's going to be a million years from now, and it's going to be very expensive. I think it could happen, but it's not going to happen before these contracts expire. So my suggestion is, you doubt that?
I'm hopeful.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, in the meantime, my suggestion is that somebody, I'm sure Jamie is familiar with the folks over there, really need to make a friend and be nice so that we don't have any kind of adversarial relationship with the administration. I think it's good for us in the sense that the aspect of the development might be slowed down. Jerry Taylor was gung-ho on the development. This guy and the new woman I don't know much about, but I know the firefighters are supporting her. That's how she got in. But anyway, that's what I wanted to be sure that we were focusing on those relationships. And of course, this is important for all the taxpayers. The other thing I wanted to just make a comment, and I'll be briefer than the resident from Ridge Boulevard on my comments, is that there were some comments made at the end of the last meeting as a rebuttal to an editorial in a local community newspaper. Now, the contents of that editorial wasn't written in a vacuum. The reason why I bring this up is that you're perhaps maybe unaware of the perception that occurs with people in the community. I mean, there's a split in the community. I think we all know that. But I think you ought to be reflective on what people perceive, not maybe reality, but of course perception could be reality, that what occurs, it's a small community, people are friends, they associate together, and they have business relationships together, but there is a perception. That's where it came from. It didn't come out of the sky by itself. All right?
Thank you. Anyone else? You weren't the last one.
Commissioner, Mayor, Commissioners, and welcome to the new Commissioner. You're a no-name.
So far.
Okay. Fix that, Jamie.
It's not in the budget.
Nancy Hogan, 37 Hibiscus Way. I want to, again, be here on public record, and I'm very sad to hear about Ridge and what happened. That whole project was a mess. I'm glad it saved one person's house, but it really has created issues for many, many other people. All those on the east side of A1A got tons of benefits. You ought to love me forever. But it comes right down our streets in our neighborhood, and it's something that needs to be looked at and taken care of. And I just want to tell you, as I haven't had any specific incidents, which I had several in the last couple of months in driving, but I don't know when was it a 3-month plan? I don't know what.
6.
6? Okay, I hope that.
June.
Oh, and I want to thank the people on the other side of A1A for taking my neon sign and putting it down by you. I'm glad to get rid of that. But when you come from the north end of A1A to take the left on Ridge, it is impossible. And at night, you can't see anybody. The angle is of such degree that there's no visual there. And by the way, why aren't hedges cut back? What happened to that little easement that we have? It's right up to the road. So again, when I had one incident of somebody coming my way, there's no room for my tire and their foot. We got to at least take care of simple safety factors. So I want that known as we move through this 6 months. And I want to add what Terry said. You know, I went over to Sterling Village, and I spoke at Sterling Village. It's very, very important what's going to happen on the other side of Woolbright and all up and down A1A. When we hit the recession, there were 22 projects that were put on hold. They were going to go. Now, yes, Jerry is more the development, but let me tell you, they like to have their property values increase, and this project on Woolbright and Federal Highway is on a very, very fast track, faster than I've ever seen it. And there's no visibility, there's no transparency to citizens of what the city staff is agreeing to in changes and variations and definition of terms even. We have to know this. It matters. It matters to my husband if he has a heart attack. They're not going to get across. So I was disappointed that I didn't see more Ocean Ridge people there, and especially electeds. Maybe you were there. I saw the city of Boynton Beach people there, and the young woman who got elected, Romulus, she's a lovely, lovely, bright woman. She won by absentee ballots. That's how she won. She did get help from the union, but it was all about absentee ballots. So, again, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right. Moving on to the regular agenda. We're moving on to reports. Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have my written report in your backup, but I'll just spend a brief moment highlighting. As you know, we closed Town Hall for a day last week for our public records management project, and I want to thank the entire police department, all our employees, even our employees' children, and everybody else that showed up wearing jeans and T-shirts. And we now can say with confidence that all the town records are under one roof and in one place. The bad news is they're all under one roof and in one place, because now we have to sort through all of them. But we're making tremendous headway, and as big a project as it was essential that we try to get our arms around the paper tiger of the town, and I think we're making great strides on that. I mentioned last month that we're talking to vendors with your direction and permission to look at the idea of digitizing and being able to search archival records for the town, which will help us in the long run in reducing staff time and improving our customer service when people have public records requests, that we can identify and retrieve specific records that much quicker. So there is still a lot of work being done. Our frontline staff and administration is working diligently to cross-reference old permits and old plans and old records with our records in the county, and thus, and we're making great headway there. I also wanted to notice, I think you've mentioned that there's a lot of specifically tree trimming and other kinds of improvements going on, mulching, plantings, visual aesthetic maintenance projects all around the town. Still a lot to do. We drive, the chief drives every day, you guys drive, we drive and see lots of stuff to do. But I'm trying to accelerate the pace in which these things are getting done, and I think you're seeing some of that aesthetic on the main thoroughfares. Congratulations to Commissioner Steve Coz. Welcome. We look forward to working with you, as all the staff does. And pretty much, I just wanted to mention for your edification, on April 27th of this month, the League of Cities, after its regular monthly meeting, has an elected officials workshop for anybody who might be interested in. They're having a speaker on media relations and some of the ethics conditions and rules in the county and various things. So if you're available and like to attend that, we have that available for you. Other than that, the town's busy every day, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on any and all the projects you may have concern about.
Any questions for Jamie?
No.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our town attorney, Glenn.
Just a pleasure to be here. Congratulations to Commissioner Coz, and just looking forward to many, many nights with you.
That's it?
That sounded funny, right? And days.
Anything else?
No, that's all we have right now.
Anything more on the Swain issue?
Other than the fact that, you know, the lawsuit was filed and the insurance carrier did appoint Lyman Reynolds firm to represent the town, and there's going to be a motion to dismiss hearing, but it's what's called an 8:45 hearing. It's only a 15-minute hearing, so I don't expect much substantive to happen then, other than perhaps the judge ordering them to clean up their complaint because there's some technical deficiencies, and I would expect a longer hearing on another motion to dismiss after that complaint's filed, probably 2 to 3 months out. At some point, when there's maybe a little more information, we'd probably ask for an attorney-client session with the commission, have Mr. Reynolds come and give you a status update. If you'd like one sooner rather than later, we can certainly arrange that.
Thank you. Anything else for town attorney? Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Mayor.
Chief, it's up to you.
Good evening. Welcome, Mr. Coz.
Thank you.
I hope not to spend a whole bunch of nights living with the attorney. Attached, you'll find my report for the monthly report for fire, EMS, and the police department. If you have any questions, as usual, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If not, I would like to introduce to everyone Officer David Kurz, who is now your newest police sergeant, who was promoted on.
Congratulations.
And now lieutenant, I'm sorry, Richard Jones, who was our investigator, who has been promoted to the rank of lieutenant effective March the 28th.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you.
Both of them hit the ground running. Dave has taken on the challenge of going through all of our property evidence, quartermaster functions, and bringing them up to date, and taking those responsibilities from Lieutenant Wolfile so he can concentrate on some other areas. Lieutenant Jones has kind of jumped into this and already, with the assistance of the support group and Lieutenant Wolfile, we have modernized our fingerprint system for taking fingerprints for residents for licenses and as a courtesy, as well as from criminals that we may encounter. The support group has funded a project that allows us now to identify people who have criminal records or warrants who choose not to produce identification because we now have the ability to run a fingerprint on them when we encounter them. So that they can't use somebody else's name and slip away. In addition to that, we're working on some other technical projects with Lieutenant Jones. And I wanted to thank you for the proclamation on behalf of all of the 911 dispatchers and telecommunicators.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief? I just have one, Chief. What time are we closing those parking lots at the inlet? What time are we closing those gates? Sunset?
Sunset. The parking lots are monitored and closed by the park rangers.
Mm-hmm.
If we notice that they're not done, we will close them at dark. But it's sunrise to sunset, the park is open. We try and monitor it, and if they lock someone in, then we assist them by trying to help the people get out so that they don't destroy a fence or a gate to get out.
All right, and one other question. There was a big article in the Coastal Star about the expansion of the inlet, parking and everything like that. Do you have any update on that while you're...
Over the course of the past 2 years, the town has been approached by the county regarding changes to that park to try and make better use of it, as they say. There have been a lot of discussions. There is an agreement, I'm sure that most of you are aware of who have been residents for any period of time, that exists between the county and the town regarding the operation of the park. So that has come up, that discussion, as well as my concerns for public safety in that area. I've been working very hard with the county parks director to instill in him the need for increased security and lifeguarding and parking enforcement in that area, especially during busy times, before any consideration of expansion is done by the county. I'm sure that, as you read in the Coastal Star, the county will likely be approaching you as the commission with a presentation at some point in time. I don't know where they are. If you read the Coastal Star, they say they have no money. They're only in the planning phases. I'm not sure where that exists. I have given my opinion on a public safety standpoint to the county anytime they've asked, as far as what we believe is a viable solution or any changes, especially when it comes to traffic and pedestrians and increased use of that area.
What is that opinion?
At this point in time, based upon what is being presented, that they should not consider any expansion of the park at this time. The area of the beach is very small. It is lifeguard protected. However, there are a lot of hazards in the area that need to be considered before we try and dump another 70 to 150 people a day into that area. There are other hazards, I believe, from my experience as a marine enforcement officer in that area, as well as my experience here as a police officer for 10 and a half years, that should be addressed prior to increasing the capacity and use of that park. I've addressed the issue, which has come before you on many occasions regarding the sheriff's patrolling of that park. I am of the opinion that it is the county parks department's responsibility to ensure that the parks are safe and secure areas, and that it is within their purview to provide proper levels of security, maintenance of those areas, and lifeguarding and things like that in areas, especially in the area where the children's playground is on the intercoastal side. as well as the north side of the jetty, which I think is I believe the term would be an attractive nuisance. So I've expressed my concerns as a police chief on your behalf, that they need to look at everything and not just additional recreational space by creating parking.
Thank you, Chief.
Did I read that correctly? They're not really increasing the size of the park, the square footage of the park. They're increasing the parking area and essentially decreasing the size of the green space park by this fund, which and I agree with you. They should be spending the money more on patrolling, increase the presence of the people at the substation. They now have a substation there now, don't they? They used to, but didn't they reman it or something?
The issue has come up several times and been presented to me, and I'll be candid with you tonight, that they have placed an employee in the park, which has increased security. I believe that's a misperception. That is a laborer who is responsible for cleaning the park, who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and goes out and works all day, and is generally asleep. I've met him several times. He's a very nice gentleman, does a very good job, generally asleep after hours when there are no park rangers working, because park rangers only work till 11. The other issue I have is that there is infrastructure there that needs to be fixed, and you are correct. It appears, based upon what they presented to me, that they are going to remove green space and add parking, which only tends to add human capacity to the park, which I believe on many occasions throughout every month of the year is overcapacity now. There is a perception that there is a sheriff's substation on the property and that provides some level of safety and security. I won't disagree with that statement 100%. However, the Sheriff's Marine Unit has moved its Marine Unit to Phil Foster Park in Riviera Beach. They did that several years ago. This is an auxiliary Sheriff's Marine Unit station, generally used by their volunteer patrols. If you look at the boats, it says volunteer on the side of it. It's very telling. The office is now used by the lifeguards. The lifeguards are not in the office. They are not security personnel. They are focusing on life safety issues on the beach and the beach alone, unless they're called away. Having been a Marine enforcement officer for many years of my career in law enforcement, I can tell you that my dock was not the most protected area in the town that I patrolled when I was doing my job. When I was doing my job, I was not at the office. I was on a boat. So I think that is another misperception. Yes, there is a law enforcement presence by vehicles being parked there, much like you'll see in other communities. But I think that we should expect a little bit more patrol of that area, perhaps by the park rangers, to ensure that there are no issues going on a daily basis. That was my suggestion to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? All right, moving on to our action items. Number 6, appoint open positions to the Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning Commission. Tracy?
Yes, thank you. As you know, several appointments to various boards will either lapse or have become open and will need to be filled. All members up for reappointment have indicated that they would like to serve for an additional term, but in years past, the commission has deferred one or more of the appointments for 1 month in the event that additional residents wanted to submit a letter of interest and a resume. If the commission decides to do this again, a motion would be necessary to retain the current board members until the next regular town commission meeting. And also, due to the election of Steve Cause to the town commission, there will be an open seat on the Board of Adjustment. So advertisements for the open seats will be posted on the website and in the newsletter.
All right, so right now, the Planning and Zoning is filled up. Has anybody applied for the Planning and Zoning?
No, if you determine that you want to reappoint the members, there won't be any advertisements.
But there has
for that.
nobody
It
to
will be
come in and
filled.
actually ask to be, okay.
Let's do this. Let's go ahead and reappoint the people to Planning and Zoning, since nobody has applied. But since we have an open seat on Board of Adjustments, let's at least give somebody an opportunity to apply, because it's a question as to whether or not there would have been an opening or not. And what do y'all think?
You're going to need another alternate there
We're gonna-
anyway.
Yeah, we need an alternate anyways,
Yeah.
so,
So we might as well fill the, I agree, fill the permanent permanent position after we see who else has applied.
okay.
All right, so
I mean,
want to make a motion?
For future reference, though, can we get this information like a couple of months before the terms expire so that we can let people know that terms are expiring if there's any interest? And we don't have to do an interim appointment during that period
Well,
of time?
the problem here was the election.
Yeah, I
She had
understand.
no way of knowing.
But, yeah, okay. So what am I doing? I'm doing a motion to appoint Richard Bajakian, Maura Walker, regular members to Planning and Zoning for a 3-year term, and David Hutchins and Kimberly Marshall as alternate members to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 1-year term.
Is there a second? Second to the motion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay,
All right, regarding Board of Adjustment?
can we appoint the existing members back to the Board of Adjustments and leave the one spot open?
Well, if you're gonna,
You might as well.
you might as well wait till the
Wait the whole
next.
thing.
yeah.
Okay, so that would be the deferral. Let me see, how do I have to do that motion? We have to do a temporary appointment, right, for 1 month?
You're just going to defer the appointments for 1 month.
Okay, I move to defer the appointments to Board of Adjustments for a period of 30 days to allow applicants to apply for the, we're going to have an open, essentially, 2 open positions.
2 open positions, that's correct.
It'll be a permanent member and alternate member to Board of Adjustments. So I so move.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, you also intend that to retain the existing folks for that 1 month?
And
That part of
retain
your
the
motion?
retain the existing members for that 1 month deferral.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion. A second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
All right, moving on here, let's see. Designation of voting delegate and alternates to the Palm Beach County League of Cities, Inc. Jamie?
Yes, this is an annual ministerial function. The League of Cities requests that we reaffirm our voting delegates each year so that when legislative and policy matters are decided at the league level, which is based on consensus municipal and home rule principles, we are always represented with a voting delegate. And as I've suggested in my memo to you, it is a good idea and a general practice to appoint all of the commission members as, or all of the attending members as alternate potential voting delegates so that we are always represented at League of Cities meetings, especially when policy matters are being vetted. My recommendation via staff was to consider going ahead and making me your voting delegate to the organization and naming the entire commission as the alternate voting delegates. And so that's our recommendation to you this evening.
Does anybody make a motion to that effect?
I move that we name town manager as our primary voting delegate and the rest of the entire town commission as alternate voting delegates to represent us at the Palm Beach County League of Cities.
I'll second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to resolutions. Resolution number 2016-04, electing a mayor.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we re-elect Mayor Pugh to the position. He's done an exemplary job.
I agree, I'll second that.
Thank you.
Technically, don't we nominate?
Yeah, we
I
nominate.
think you guys, it's a job you don't want, so you give it to that guy.
But now who makes the motion?
Yeah,
It's been made and seconded.
any other discussion? Thank you so much for the confidence, and you know I'll do the best job I can for this town and the people in it.
Don't we have to vote on it?
Well, I'm doing that right now. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you again. Okay, number 9, resolution number 2016-05, electing a vice mayor.
I would like to nominate Rich Lucibello to act as vice mayor.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Question and second. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, resolution number 2016-06, designating depositories, authorizing treasurer or deputy treasurer to sign town checks, authorizing any one of the 5 town commissioners to countersign checks. And make a motion on that?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2016-06, as set forth, item number, what is it, 14? No, item number 10 on our agenda.
Is there a second? We got to sign the checks and pay everybody.
Nobody signs checks,
Yeah,
we don't spend
have
any
to sign
money
the
next
checks.
year.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Well, folks, looks like to me that's it for the. You got to come up, Bob, you got to come up. You got to do name and address for the record. You got to do the whole shooting match.
Easy way to avoid paying money.
What's that?
Easy way to avoid paying money, no one sign checks.
Bob Weissblue, 23 Sailfish Lane. This is the first meeting ever been that they had an election for mayor and vice mayor. I was curious as to what the term is.
It's 1 year.
1 year.
It does
Oh,
every
okay. Well,
every
I-
single year.
every year.
Every year we do it after the election.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Meeting adjourned.
46.